Hey everybody, how's it going? Mike from the Focus Garage coming at you here with another video on the 21 Aprilia Tuono, and we're going to make this a quick one here. We're not going to go super into detail, but I do want to show you guys kind of the overall process of fitting this titanium beauty SC Project slip-on exhaust onto my 21 Tuono. Now this is listed as a fitment for 2017 through 2020. Reason being is because on these newer bikes here, this tab is no longer existent. So that would essentially, in the past bikes, mount on the rear foot peg bracket here, but just from the clamp down there that holds it to the rest of the exhaust and the rear passenger kind of peg bracket here, it should work just fine to kind of do what we need to do. So we're gonna go ahead and remove this factory exhaust, take care of the cables here for the servo motor, kind of get them up and out of the way here, maybe zip tie them to the brake lines for now, and install this SC Project exhaust. Now, everybody that has these knows that the factory valve opens somewhere between 5,000 and 6,000 RPM, whereas this, you know, it's a shorty system, smaller, freer flowing can. It's gonna sound beautiful, but the valve's gonna be open all the time because there is no valve on that. I am going to be doing a upmap Gabbro tune on this. First, I'll probably be using their version of the Aprilia Race ECU on this. I've got that coming this week, so don't worry, I'm not gonna be running the bike for any amount of time. I'm not gonna be able to ride it this week due to the weather. I'm not gonna be running this bike for a long time without a tune or anything like that. So the tune's coming on Tuesday. We're filming this here on Sunday, so that way I'll already have the exhaust installed and ready to go by the time the tune arrives for the bike. So the tune will make it so that way it can compensate for the different exhaust flow and the valve being removed. So without any further ado, I'm gonna hop into it here and I'm gonna kind of install this on my motorcycle here. Some things I'm gonna do to kind of make note of is I'm going to remove both of the rear foot pegs altogether. SC Project sends out this little piece here, which mounts to the factory foot peg area. Way sleeker, streamlined looking, so I'll install that on the bike. And then I've got the closeout piece there for the passenger side, so we'll remove that. Well, I guess the left side. We'll remove the left side one. I've got the Aprilia closeout piece for that. And on the right side, we'll run their bracket. As far as things to note, these spacers are going to be what you use right here in between these bolts and this and the bike to install that. Comes with its own new clamp here that you're going to use to clamp this system onto the motorcycle. We've got a silencer in here, this bolt right here. We're going to be pulling that off because I want to hear this baby scream without any kind of silencing or anything like that there. But as far as like things to note, like I said, nothing too crazy at all. You've got, you know, this bracket here that you'll need to remove, and you can see that this muffler mounts in a little bit of a different spot than the older ones. So again, I'm just going to remove this whole assembly here, and the bracket and the new one will fit there without issue. All you need is a wrench here to break these nuts loose. You'll go ahead and slip them out of the little servo actuator in there, and then you've just got one clamp down here. I believe it's a 13 millimeter to remove the exhaust from the rest of the motorcycle there. So the bike is cold. I'm not gonna turn it on and get it all hot and everything right now for me to pull off the exhaust. If you guys want to hear what these sound like stock, just go look at my previous videos of the bike or anything like that, or just any review video of it on YouTube. What I will do though is I'll give you a little bit of a quick turn on and listen to the bike once we've got the new one installed here, and I don't mind getting everything warm and hot. So without any further ado, the steps I'm gonna go through here, unless obviously I outline them being differently, is I'm gonna go ahead and loosen this clamp here, slide it out of the way. Then I will remove the muffler from the rear foot peg hanger here. It looks like we've got a bolt on this side with a nut on the other. So hold the nut back in place, back this out, and then I'm gonna kind of wiggle it off a little bit, and then I think I'll be able to kind of break these nuts out and get these out of the servo drive there. Then once all that's done, I should be able to pull this giant, huge assembly off the motorcycle and start squeezing that into place. So let me rip this off and we'll check back in once we're ready to put kind of the rest of that onto the bike. Little update here. So I've gone ahead and removed both of the rear passenger pegs like I said I was going to. These take a 6 millimeter hex head. Be careful, there is Loctite and rust if you're my bike for some reason with 700 miles on it. But yeah, they're very, very long and there's Loctite on them. I removed both sides. You don't need to do that for the purpose of this install, but I wanted to use this bracket and I don't like the passenger peg on the other side on. But you can see there is a spacer provided by SC Project between the bolt, the bracket, and then the bike. I've left these, they also will provide you bolts, so they come with the hardware that you've got. Use their spacer, use their bolt. I put everything on here kind of slightly loose, so you can see there's some play with that. I put on their new exhaust clamp, which uses a 10mm head, so you're gonna need a 10mm head on that there. Keep these loose. And then just if anybody wanted to see, here is the rear closeout piece installed. Super sleek. You got just kind of this little vented piece there with a 2.5mm hex head there, and it just cleans it up real nice. I kind of like how this looks real sleek without it there. Since this is titanium, a word of advice, use clean gloves or clean hands or clean everything before you put it on. What I'm gonna go ahead and do now is I'm gonna install probably the link pipe first, slip it on down there, and get everything kind of into place. Then we'll put the end pipe on and use the spring tool that you have to have on your own, or get your own spring tool. They don't provide this. But use the spring tool, put the two provided springs on the top and the bottom of the end can, and slip it all together. Before you tighten anything down, so before you tighten these down or before you tighten the actual exhaust clamp down, get everything aligned, leave everything finger loose, and then you can go ahead and start tightening everything down. Here's what I did with the servo motor cables for now. You can see I pulled them out of the butterfly valve, and I've just got them zip tied to the rear brake line here. Well, it's rather actually the ABS line. But I've got them here, just kind of zip tied up and out of the way. They can't really go anywhere. Once I get the tune installed, I will actually remove these all the way through the whole motorcycle there. But just for the purpose of the installation of this pipe, I just wanted to have them kind of zip tied on there and ready to go. So without any further ado, let's get the link pipe on, the end pipe, and get everything adjusted, and I'll hit you with any tips and tricks that I find along the way. Well, okay, that's it. It really wasn't that bad at all. All you had to do was just kind of make sure everything lined up. I learned it's best to put these springs on this kind of link pipe before you go ahead and put everything on the motorcycle. So I put everything on the ground here, used my little spring tool and put it all together. You can see we've removed the silencer already because I don't think I ever want to run this piece. But I put the end can on the link pipe all together off the motorcycle. That way I can make sure the spring tabs are aligned. Everything slid in right where it needs to be on the joint. So what I did for here, I used the 10mm bolt that came off of the motorcycle here, and I flipped it around because, as you remember, it kind of came through this piece. So this was on there, it threaded into this. I put this onto the motorcycle because it's longer. Use their provided spacer here, and then their provided 13mm nut on the back of it there. So I've got all that on. Here's their spacer, there's their nut. Factory bolt on their kind of, passenger peg delete bracket there. You can see there is plenty of room between the swing arm and this link pipe here. Everything fits real nicely. It is a good bit shorter than the factory pipe, so I'm stoked about that. The carbon is absolutely beautiful. And the link pipe and everything fit perfectly. This butted up right where it needs to go. Their supplied 10mm clamp worked really well there. No complaints on anything. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go ahead, start the motorcycle in my closed garage just for a minute here. Here's some V4 barking noises, and we'll shut it down and carry on with our lives. But that's gonna wrap up this one here. Holy cow, do I love how this looks versus the giant factory can. I like that it's still kind of that brushed metal finish. You know, it's a titanium versus kind of that weird stainless brushed shielding there. This looks aggressive, and I bet it sounds aggressive. I have seen people cut off this that are running it on the 21, so they'll cut off this piece here. I may or may not do that, but I might also get the bracket for that. I'm not sure. You have to swap out this whole foot peg bracket, which involves moving the brake and all that. So I'm not sure if I want to go down that route there, but it is super secure to the motorcycle. So like there's no need for that. It's just more of an aesthetic thing, having that bracket kind of just chilling. But yeah, without any further ado, we'll end this video with the bike started up, listening to it kind of bark a little bit there. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, but I would say this one is a thumbs up as far as installing prior model year parts on a 21 and newer Aprilia Tuono V4. As you can see, the tail tidy, that was kind of its own video. Meh, fitment there. We've had some things with the radiator guard, whatever, but this was pretty easy. The hardest part was actually removing that factory slip on there. That part of the end of it on the mid pipe was so tight, I had to wiggle for a long time before that came off. But all this lined up really well, went on really beautifully. So without further ado, let's start her up.